Hi, I'm Liz Toombs, your host for Sorority Chat, the podcast about all things Greek housing, decorating, and beyond. Thank you so much for being here and listening. I hope that you enjoy what you're hearing on each episode from me and the guests on the show. And if you are, please share with a friend and leave us a review. Happy listening. Welcome to Sorority Chat, Tara.
Hello, Liz. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited to have you.
I am thrilled to be here.
So you and I have done podcast episodes before, and we've talked a lot. I am an organization lover at heart. Anything that makes a space more efficient, more effective, it's my jam. So, I'm all about what we're about to dive into here today.
I'm excited. I'm going to go back to my roots. I was a theta at Eastern. Of course, I didn't have a house. We had a dorm floor, but this gets me really excited. Now, it's been a while. It's been quite a while, but it's still a tiny space, I bet.
It is. Dorm rooms, chapter house rooms, you only have so much space. And I think we need to give some tips on how these students can make the most of that space. So you're a huge proponent of not just organizing what you have, but actually going through what you have and determining what is needed, what you need to get rid of. So do you want to start by talking about that a little bit, the purging?
Yes, right. Exactly. So here's the thing. Whether it's a sorority house or a chapter floor or a dorm room floor, most of these spaces are really tiny, and you've got smaller closets probably than you had when you were at home. So I want your listeners to be really intentional, and let's start with clothes, because I feel like that's a big category for most of us women, but I want them to be really intentional about what things they're bringing into their space and not hanging on to things that don't make them feel amazing. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I would recommend that you do when we're talking about clothes and you've got this smaller closet, and you can do this with your girlfriends, because I feel like grab a group of girlfriends that are brutally honest, right? That are going to be like, oh, sister, that color is not your jam. So go through your closet, and anything that doesn't fit, whether it's too tight or too big, immediately goes. And none of this, well, maybe just whatever fits right now today, you keep that. If it's too tight, if it's too big, it goes. And I guarantee there's someone else on the sorority floor that would want it. So that's the first thing. And then go through the colors. And if there's a color, I found this on myself recently when I did a photo shoot, and I'm like, ooh, that is not a good color on me. And it immediately went to my sister. So colors that you feel confident in, those stay. And you've done this before. I know it. You go out for the evening and you try on 60 different items. And there's always that one or two that you never, ever wear. They just keep going back into the closet because it never feels quite right. Those are the things I'm telling you to actually finally get rid of. Because then what happens is you've curated a closet of stuff that you feel incredible in, confident in, just powerful. I want you to be a strong, powerful woman, and your clothes need to reflect that. And so so once you narrow it down to that, and you've got the clothes that only fit, colors you feel radiant in, and stuff that makes you feel powerful, then we can talk about, okay, you have this small closet space. Stick with hangers that are thin, and you can use either velvet hangers, or if velvet's not your jam, you can go with a really thin plastic hanger. And I am going to create a list. I know you're going to tag it in the notes below, specifically for your listeners, about dorm products you can use, not dorm as well, sorority houses, smaller space that you can go to, click on the list, and it'll show you the things we're talking about today. But start with a thin hanger. And then from there, I don't know if you've seen these, but they're hangers that then go vertical. So you can put several hangers on them, and then you drop it down so your clothes actually hang vertically.
Okay, so I've not seen the drop down kind, but my husband, who admittedly has as many clothes and shoes as I do, I think he has these, they're little hooks that go around the hook part of the hanger, and then you can hang an additional hanger. So same concept. You can
similar. And so, similar. Mm-hmm. So it's long, and you can hang it horizontal to begin with. You hang your hangers, and then you drop one side of it.
Okay.
So you have 6 or 7 shirts that just hang down vertically.
And that works great for a closet that doesn't have double hang, because you have all this vertical space that you can't use unless you have a tool like that.
Right. And from at least when I was in school, that most of them were just single rod closets.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah. So that would be perfect for that. So you want thin hangers, you want vertical space, because anytime you have a small space, always think vertically. Mm-hmm. So that would tackle your clothes. As far as things like bulkier items like sweaters, because those take up a ton of space, there's a couple ideas. When I was there, we had a lot of space under the bed, right? So if you use a rolling tote, Target has that. I mean, you can get rolling totes anywhere. They're long, they're skinny. You can use a rolling tote with wheels to store the bulkier items. It's also a great place to store shoes, side note, because you could just put them in there, wheel it out, grab your shoes, wheel it back. Another option is, and again, I'll put this on the Amazon store. It's like a cube and it's specifically for sweaters, and you could then stack the cubes. So if you wanted to organize by color, because a lot of times we think, oh, I feel like something in a bright pink, or I feel like something gray, you could have your sweaters stacked by colors in the cube. And then on the outside, you would just label it pink sweaters. You could stack the cubes up within the closet or shove them under the bed and then pull them out as you need them.
Okay.
So again, narrow down the items first, and then, you can store and stack. So that's a good idea for sweaters. Bulkier things that you could stuff in. I don't typically put in a drawer because sometimes they'll get stuck. They get all wadded up in there, but I would use either a rolling bin underneath the bed or a cube storage that you could stack that's specifically meant for sweaters.
Okay.
Shoes. Shoes. Do you want to talk shoes?
Yes, we need to talk shoes.
So same thing. And of course, this is coming from a 45-year-old woman, but if it doesn't feel good on and it's uncomfortable, for the love of God, how can you be out dancing if it's not comfortable? Make sure they don't kill your feet, right? So once you've got the shoes that feel amazing, look amazing, and aren't killing your feet, again, you can use the rolling bin underneath the bed, and you can get these at Target. They're usually $1 a piece, and it's not a high quality tote, or I guess plastic bin, but you can store your shoes in these teeny tiny shoe totes, and you would put one pair in, and again, you could stack them up into the closet. And the nice thing about that is they're clear, so you can see what shoes they are, and you're going to be able to stack them so it's not going to ruin your shoes. And it's not a huge investment price wise. So if they break, it's not the end of the world. But the problem, I think, with shoes in a small space is they do make racks, yes, that you can hang the shoes on. Usually they're pretty flimsy. They're falling down. The shoes are coming off. Otherwise, you're just tossing the shoes in the back.
Yeah.
So again, if you can go vertically, and if we're dealing with closets that are really tall, which is what I remember, really tall, one rod, you are going to have that space below that you could stack those shoe bins, those clear shoe bins, and just put your shoes in there that way. Yeah. As far as boots go, I know y'all know the trick where you cut the pool noodle to make the boots stand up nice and tall. So you could do that with your boots. But the shoes, if you could get those inexpensive shoe bins, and not the Container Store ones. I mean, the ones that are, affordable, that's huge. That'll help.
I'm just glad there's affordable ones, because I've always assumed, I've loved the idea of, oh, that's great to put a pair of shoes per bin, but I'm like, I don't want to be $3,000 in, trying to put my shoes in something. It's not. The key
is to not Google shoe bin, right?
Okay.
So if you're looking for those, then they're always going to be expensive. But if you can just get, and again, I have a size 6 foot, so I have smaller feet, but it usually goes up to a size 9 or 10. Mm-hmm. If it's a smaller shoe, like your flip-flops, your heels, the things like that. And then you can always do the over the door hanger thing where you can put the shoes in the pockets. Mm-hmm. That's an option as well. So I'm trying to think, and I'll see if I can find one for the Amazon storefront. That's one that they could get shipped versus not Target. But seriously, if you go into that storage aisle in the Target where it's got all the storage totes, you will find ones that are more like a shoe size.
Okay.
And so I would look there for those.
I feel compelled to go shopping after we record.
I know. Well, we could totally meet for a shopping date.
Yeah. Well, and while we're talking about closets, a lot of times these chapter house or dorm room closets are really dark. Like they have the space, but you're going to get in there and you can't see what you have. And so something that my team has started doing whenever we've done these model dorm spaces is we've gotten these LED tape lights that are motion activated. And so you just put a battery in it, and then you adhere it to that inner frame of the closet. So every time you open that door and reach in, lights come on and you can see everything that you
I love that. Now, are the ones you're using, are they battery powered, or do you need
to are. Yeah, okay. They've been, I think it was like a AA, maybe.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
I got it on Amazon. And so they're inexpensive. You just swap the batteries out and then they easily peel off when you're finished for the semester.
That's glorious. We did those in our kids' room, but they have a cord. So I would have loved to have one that was battery. I'm going to swap them out.
Yes,
I love that. Yeah. And they are dark. You're exactly right. I don't know what that's about.
It's super shadowy and it's not.
Yeah. So now what about drawers? Do most of the spaces you work in, do they have those deep drawers also?
Yeah. Usually there's a dresser either under bed or a freestanding dresser. So yes, let's talk about how to organize some drawers as well.
Okay. So what are the things you're saying that they're typically storing in their drawers? Is it clothes? Is it food? Is it?
Mostly it's clothing, because typically food is going either out into like a common kitchenette or in like a full blown night kitchen, like snack area.
Okay. So clothing, I'm thinking there's a couple options. You could do the spring loaded drawer dividers. So if you're going to store your unmentionables, as my grandmother would say, in the drawer, you could actually have this spring loaded drawer dividers and have it sectioned off so it doesn't end up in one pile. And there's always the fabric divided ones, but I will tell you honestly, I tend to be kind of a dump and go girl. I don't have time to like fold my panties in a like triangle fancy origami way and have it pretty in the drawer. I just need to be able to toss it in the panty section.
Yep.
So I'm thinking that way. So I would do either the spring loaded dividers, or another idea, and Target has these. If they're deep drawers, you could get, and it's in their bathroom section, and it's a frosted bin. It's by Room Essentials, if they haven't changed the name, and they have handles on the side and they're deep. So what you're doing is you're making sections out of the deep drawer, and then you could pull it out if need be. So like, let's say for swimsuits or something. So you could do a swimsuit in one of these 12 by 12 with the handles. And then instead of you rummaging, I know they can't see my hands right now. I look like a mole trying to rummage in the ground.
If they're watching on YouTube, they can see your hands. So that's
you didn't tell me that was going there. Okay. Yep. I would have fancied up a little more. If they're rummaging in, they could just pull out the whole section, set it on the bed, figure out what swimsuit they want, and then set the bin back down into the drawer. So, and it would be the same thing if you're storing makeup in there too, right? So you would want to make a higher side. The key is to have high sides that you could go up vertically within the drawer, grab out that section, set it on the counter wherever you need, and then set it back in. So that's an idea for the deeper drawers. Again, I try to steer clear of putting sweaters in there just because they tend to like puff up. And then you don't want to rip your sweaters when you're pulling out the drawer.
Yeah, it could get snagged on the dresser. You're right.
Yeah. But anything you could set in there that has a handle that you could pull up, or a section, that way you could pull out whatever you needed, and you're not in the dark, like you said, in the dark drawer trying to find something, and it just becomes a mosh pit of clothes.
Okay. Yeah. No, I like that. Now, when you talk about those spring loaded drawer dividers, are those the ones that you've also, like the bamboo material?
The ones that you would use in this case, they're higher size. The bamboo ones that I know you're referring to that I usually use in kitchens are a short 2-inch side. Yeah. So these are usually white or clear, and they're usually a 4 or 5 inch.
Okay.
So, and I can put those on the Amazon store too, as well. The ones you're going to put them to. And I love those. I mean, again, I use this with my kids. They just know socks go here, underwear goes there. And it just makes it, I think a lot of us are just in a hurry. And so I know your college girls have to be. So if you could just create a section and then you could just toss it in, it makes it at least a little bit more organized and easier to find.
Yeah, it definitely makes it easier to find when you're trying to get out of bed and get out the door before class.
Oh my gosh, in the dark. And like you said, if we do the containers and it is dark, you could just pull out a whole container and section it that way.
Yeah, so I like that idea. Okay, so that's really helpful. Now, if somebody is the type of person that there isn't clothing in their dresser drawers, you had mentioned food. Did you have a tip for how to store that?
Yeah. Okay. So again, well, let me back up, because I don't think I ever said this. Always measure. Yes. Of course, if you order Amazon and you mess up the measurements, you can just take it right back pretty easily, but always measure. But you could do long, skinny, and I'll put this on the Amazon link as well, but long, skinny bins, because those drawers are usually at least 17 to 20 inches deep front to back. So if you went long, skinny, and there's either a 3 and a 3/4 wide or a 6-inch wide, and that way you could have things sectioned. You could do like your to go protein bars in one section, tuna in another section, all that shelf good food in the drawer, and then it's sectioned by area. And again, you could pull out a whole entire section if need be. Yeah. But the thing, again, like you and I talked about with the drawers, is high sides. Like making high sides so stuff's not falling over versus, taking a drawer and opening it and you just kind of have a free for all when you get back from Kroger or whatever. Right. You could do that. And again, you could still use the drawer dividers, like the spring loaded dividers, if you wanted to section it that way. Okay. Your protein bars in one section, canned potted meat in another section, drinks in another section. And then when you pull it out, it's not everything's falling over, because you pull open a drawer and everything falls over all willy-nilly. So that would be a way to keep it to standing it up straight. And the nice thing about the spring-loaded dividers is you can move them. It's so adjustable, right? So you could make really one skinny section, then you could make a wider section for like ramen noodles. I don't know, what do people eat anymore in the dorm rooms and
I don't know. I'm not the one to ask. I didn't even eat ramen noodles when I was in college, so I've actually never had them. So I don't know.
Is that a thing? We need to do a poll. Who's had ramen noodles? Is it ramen or Roman? But whatever it is,
I think it's ramen. So if you're listening and you are a fellow, I've never had ramen noodles, can I get some support, please? Because I feel like I'm a lone ranger on this one.
I know we need to find out how many of you there are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do need to know that for sure. So then I feel like all of this is super helpful. And I know that if you need to be measuring the space, sometimes you're not going to be able to get into the rooms prior to actual move-in.
True.
So it may just be something, get in there, start to get your stuff settled, take your measurements. And then like you're saying, if you're buying off the Amazon shopping list, have it shipped to the house, and then you can put it all in place, or make a run to Target with your parents while they're moving you in. This may be like kind of a step 2, but at least this gives everyone a direction of what they're looking for once they have their measurements.
I know. I was going to bring up a picture for those that are on YouTube. Another really good option for sweaters and things, and it made me think of it when you were talking about having it shipped to your house before you move in.
Yeah.
There are these heavy duty storage bags that people use for moving typically. However, I find them extremely useful for large comforters, blankets, sweaters. Let me see if I can bring it up and just like flip it around. Okay. Where's my little camera? They look like this.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they have handles and they're nice and sturdy. And then you could pull them out underneath the bed, but then you could pack from home.
Yeah.
And so you've already got your sweaters the way you want them. And then you just slide the little thing under the bed, and then they collapse and get really, really small.
Oh, that's nice. And then you can just reuse them every time you're moving.
Yes. And then if you're, again, if you've got it in your sorority house, they could roll right under the bed. Mm-hmm. And it also makes packing up easier when you're ready to leave for the summer. So,
well, that's really handy.
Yeah. And then I found this other awesome thing. Do they have little mini fridges anymore in rooms? Because this thing is adorable.
Sometimes it's going to depend on the campus and what the rules are, but sometimes they do allow it.
This is the cutest. I found it this morning. $14. Look at that.
Oh, that's really cute. The little organizer. Oh,
yes. So it kind of flaps over. And so on both sides, you can organize like your coffee supplies or electrolyte mixes. I mean, how adorable.
That's very handy. So for those who are listening and not watching, this is sort of it reminds me of a shoe organizer or like an over the bed organizer with pockets. And so this goes over your mini fridge, and on both sides you can store some things. So you're maximizing, again, that vertical space.
Yes. And I'll put that on the Amazon shop for your listeners also, so they can see what we're actually talking about. But I thought that was genius. I'm like, well, this is great, because then you're using the sides.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and another, I just had another idea. Okay. So vertical space, sticky things. What about using some command hooks?
Yes.
Belts and scarves and anything, jewelry, like those command hooks, the skinny ones on Amazon shop, but you can use the skinny little tiny ones. You get like a pack of 12 for like $5, and you could stick those on the wall and hang your necklaces so they don't tangle. So you're using space, because a lot of times people want a jewelry box or whatever, but then everything gets tangly. But you could hang those literally on the wall or inside of your closet, because they're a command hook. They'll come right down at the end of the season. So you could just hook all your little all your little necklaces up in the side.
Yeah.
So that would be an idea.
That's really helpful, because otherwise the back of the door is not something you would be placing any items on other than maybe a mirror. So that's a great tip.
Yeah.
So what about like bathroom space, makeup stuff?
No, makeup stuff, bathroom space. Okay. On the Amazon shop, I found one this morning that's got little drawers, and again, it goes vertical. So you would, makeup. Yeah. But let's talk about purging makeup first.
Okay.
Because you know how much I love to purge things. So I think a lot of times we need to be real intentional about what comes home and what freebies we take from places. Because when we get makeup, or I have a lot of clients that get these little subscription packages that come in the mail.
FabFitFun?
That one. That's the one. Which is glorious. But then what happens is I'll have clients that have one makeup item or one koozie or one whatever. and they never ever use it. So I would say, you know, for those items, if you're not going to use it, pass it on to a sorority sister. Maybe they want it, take it to the donation center. But a lot of the clutter that comes around makeup is the free stuff that you didn't order. Like, it's really nice because you went to Clinique and they gave you your makeup and you got this free little kit of all these things, but you're not planning on using it, but you just didn't get rid of it because it was free. And so since it was free, we keep it. So narrowing down, okay, these are all the free samples I got. I don't really want or need them. Maybe one of my sorority sisters needs them. Another great place to take them to, at least here in Lexington, and I'm sure there's other places in other cities, is a lot of our women's shelters that have abused women come in. They're constantly looking for donated makeup, skincare, anything like that. I take a lot of stuff to Greenhouse 17 here locally. They're always looking for items. So actually, that would be a really neat sorority thing to do if you gathered everybody up and it's like, here's what we're going to do. We're all going to purge our makeup and all the freebies we got. We're going to box it up and take it to this location so it can serve other women that need it.
Yep.
But yeah, narrowing down what makeup you have on hand, because a lot of times we have stuff in there we're not even using or wearing. So doing that first. From there, like I said, vertical storage on the countertop. You can hang jewelry. You can actually let's go back to the drawers. So if you had a drawer space and you wanted to have one of those either turntables, like a Lazy Susan, you could put your makeup in it and set it in the drawer when you're not using it. And
one with sides, I guess, so that it doesn't
one with sides. Absolutely, one with sides. Target has one. It's $15. It's 11 inches around. It has tall sides and handles. So you could put the makeup in there and use the handles to pull it out, set it on the counter when you're getting ready, and then set it back in the drawer. So it makes your space still look tidy. They do make specific turntables with high sides for makeup. I'll put some on the Amazon shop. But again, it'd be a nice way to like store it into a drawer and then bring it up when you need it. Narrowing down again the items that you use. Yeah. But that would be a great solution too. It's just if it's something you could store on the time being. I think from what I recall, and you'd be able to confirm, there's not a lot of counter space.
Not usually, no.
So if we could find ways, and this is going to really date me, but back in my day, we had caboodles.
Yep.
So
they were having a moment and they were coming back last year, at least. My niece got one.
There's something similar to a caboodle. Y'all don't know what that is. You have to Google it. 1980s. So a caboodle, something similar you could store in your drawer and bring out and open at the time would be fantastic. I'll have to Google a caboodle, like a similar thing that they have out there now. Maybe we could find something to put in the Amazon shop.
Yes. Well, and I like your idea of going back to the drawer space, because a lot of these houses are set up in a way in which, you have between 2 and 4 women sharing a bedroom, but then everyone uses on the same floor a group bathroom. And so they'll keep their shower caddies with their shower toiletries and like toothpaste and face wash all in the bathroom, but their makeup is not going to stay in the bathroom.
Right. They're going to get ready in their space.
Yeah. Or you may go in and take your makeup and put it on at the makeup mirrors, but it's not tending to be a space for storage. And so I think that having that Lazy Susan with the handles could be super helpful, or you're just your makeup bag and taking it back and forth.
I'm making notes. So then when I create this Amazon shop for them, I'll put something out there that's got maybe like a handle and a makeup bag that they could carry to and from.
Yeah. And now there are some setups in which it's more of a suite style where a couple of women will share a bathroom, and that's a different situation. So everyone will kind of take from your tips what applies to their space.
Got you. Yeah. So that, and then the other thing as far as, because I had 2 different dorm rooms. I had the suite style that you're talking about where there was 2 people in a room and then in the middle there was the bathroom. But there's still, in that bathroom, it was literally a shower and a sink. There wasn't any under sink storage. But if you are in a space or a dorm room and it has under sink storage, or you're in a sorority house where maybe there's, I don't even know, spaces where you have drawer or cabinets that you can open. The Container Store does have these amazing rolling bins. I know that you and I are going to go on Instagram Live in a couple weeks and talk, and I'll be able to show what it looks like. But they have a handle. They're nice and deep. They're 17 inches deep, and they have sections and they have wheels. And so you can pull the items out from under space. And that truly would really work for anything in the room, whether you have cabinets in your dorm room or the suite or whatever. You could also line your food up in there. And if you've got, it's more for, I would say, a cabinet where you can't get to the back easily.
Mm-hmm.
With a drawer, you're opening it and you're able to actually access items in the back. This is more for if you're struggling to get to the back of things and things go to the back of a cabinet to die.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a good option for that, because that's what it's into the back of the cabinet to die.
Yeah, I like that, because your tip is always, again, the measuring and making sure that your storage container goes the full depth of whatever you're putting it in, the drawer or the cabinet, so that you don't lose things back
right
there.
And it didn't even have to be a rolling bin. Even if you went to like Home Goods or At Home and got a long basket with a handle that you could just pull out, that would be huge, because the reason why you would contain items is more for access. I mean, yes, it's cute and pretty, but we want it to be functional. So if you're just storing things in a deep 20 to 24 inch cabinet all the way back, it's hard to reach the back for anything, makeup, hair supplies, curling irons, whatever. If you could put it in something that you could pull forward and be able to access it easily, especially if it's in a dark space, then that's when you want to use those items. Yes, clear bins are pretty, but we want it to be functional. So that's when I would recommend, okay, so let's say even with like I just said, maybe a curling iron, 50 different types of hair blow dryer things, all that would be great under a sink in a large basket. You could pull it out with a handle, and then you could access what you need, toss it back in there. And a lot of these times, done is better than perfect. It doesn't have to look showroom ready and you've wrapped all your little cords and you're placing. I mean, sometimes it's like, hey, I need to get out of this place and we're going out tonight and everything's all over the place. We just want to be able to dump and go. If you want a basket, you can throw all your hair stuff in, slide it back under, and be done. So, it doesn't have to be Pinterest perfect. It just needs to be functional. Yeah.
Real life. It's got to be able to work in real life.
Right. Absolutely. So,
I
know. What other little areas can you think of that I could toss you a tip?
I think you've given really good tips. The clothing is always a big deal, but going back to that, something that just came to mind is if it is a really small space and let's say, somebody can't get all of their clothes in, do you advise that folks maybe switch out and keep their cold weather clothes and then at some point change over to like their spring clothes, or what's your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's hard where we live because for example, today it's 50 and rainy and cold, and next week it's supposed to be 90. So I think the struggle with the switch out, which I do love, and I did it. I'm from Ohio. And so when I went to Eastern, I did the same thing. I stored my winter stuff, but then it was like, crap, y'all have like this weird February, March, April down here. Where you have to decide if it's spring or summer or winter again. So that's where it gets a little tricky. So keeping a couple layering items that always stay in your space, stuff that a sweater or whatever that you could just layer that always go good together. Those always stay in your space. But then the bulk of the winter stuff stays at mom and dad's until you're ready to use it. And the bulk of summer, although summer items aren't as hard to store in all honesty.
And also most of the time by the time summer's really hitting, the students are gone, like they're home. I think the only people that this wouldn't apply to is if you're going cross country for school, or if you're coming in from out of the country. You're probably just going to have to go back to your initial tip of just pick your favorite things that you look great in. And you're probably just going to be wearing them all the time.
Right. And here's the thing. I am no fashionista by any stretch of the imagination. But when I do watch these fabulous fashionistas, it's about picking basic pieces that you can wear different ways. So that also serves us well when it comes to small spaces. So pick your key base pieces that you could wear a bunch of different ways. And those are the things that you always have. So when the weather gets weird, like it is right now, you've got something to wear. And then, in the dead of winter, that's when you can bring the sweaters down if you wanted to, and then they can go back. Hopefully it's spring break, but who knows around here. But you're right. It comes to, and here's the thing, even if it's coming for this year and you leave some stuff back home because you're not ready to really let go of it, I'm fine with that. That's fine. But like before you go off to college in the fall, really making those hard choices around what you want to bring, the pieces that you cannot live without. That's what you take. Because more than likely, my oldest is getting ready to go to college in 3 years. So hopefully he will return and see me. So more than likely you all are returning and seeing your parents. And at that time you could say, okay, I have a little more room here or there. So I can make space for XYZ, or I took this and didn't really wear it. So it gives you time in between to figure out what's working well for you and what you need to change. Because here's the thing, the decisions you make aren't permanent. You can, if this one set didn't work, swap it out.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
No,
Hopefully
you're right. Well, Tara, this has been really helpful information. I think it's very practical, and I know that everyone will get a lot of great shopping items off of your list. So thanks for creating that and sharing that with us.
No problem.
Yeah. So, well, we appreciate your time and all of your info that you shared.
It's been fun.